I was
All
waiting
right.
to hear that recording in
That
progress.
recording in progress. We are
Before I
officially
shared my
started.
screen.
So we're going to go ahead and get kicked off for our March user group. Full steam ahead. So Sarah, go ahead and take it over.
Sure. I'm going to share my screen and we will get this started. Excellent. So Kim, if you could just give me a thumbs up that you can see my screen, that would be great.
Yep, you're good.
Awesome, thank you. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the March Bug Meeting. I know that training is a topic that everybody is excited about and kind of something that there haven't been a lot of communications on since we pushed the date out, the go live date. But I have some great information for you, a lot of stuff to tell you, explain to you what we've been working on since the last time I gave a training update. So brief agenda. We're going to talk about those learning pathways and them, their status and how they're being refreshed. Also talk about quick reference guides. We're also going to discuss some updates that we're making to the website. Also talk about what's going on with the learning management system and how is that playing into this refresh. And then finally, also some information about the virtual instructor-led training, which I know a lot of folks are anxious to take as well. So first, I want to start with discussing our learning pathways refresh timeline. So this really shows you what we've been working on, because even though the go live date got pushed out to May 2nd, doesn't mean that we stopped working. In fact, it kind of gave us the opportunity to ramp up and continue to make the changes that we need to make to our training assets. So between December and January, we have actually made changes to almost every single asset. So that's over 60 assets in total. And the other great thing that it gave me the opportunity to do and gave the training team an opportunity to do is to review those trainer reviews. Unless you were part of the Train the Trainer program, you might not know this, but our amazing trainers that were part of that program actually were the first ones to see these assets and to provide feedback. And because we didn't have the appropriate amount of time to make sure we went through all that feedback, I couldn't make sure everything that was captured in the first round of our learning pathways. But having this extra time has allowed me to go through all of those reviews, look at all the feedback from the trainers, and then also do some additional internal reviews as well to make sure that I was documenting everything that I thought needed to be changed to make these learning assets better, which will then make the pathways better. So might not seem like a whole lot if it's, you know, just a little bit more than 60 assets, but trust me, going through those and having the help of CGI and InfoPro has been fantastic, but it's also been time consuming. But I think that we are at a really good place. And that kind of brings me into the next part, which is after we're documenting all of those changes, we had to incorporate them. And that's really where CGI and InfoPro came in again and was helping make those changes, also sending it back for internal reviews, sometimes doing a second round of edits. Also, those video assets, we had to re-record them in some cases, which, you know, involves making sure that those voiceover artists are pulled back in. It's all of these little things that you might not think about that goes into creating a training program and learning assets as part of that training program. And as a perfectionist, it's been nice to go back and fix some things that I saw. And I have to say that CGI and InfoPro have been extremely patient with me, and that is certainly appreciated as we continue to go through these edits. So now we're in March. So this is when the refreshed learning pathways will be released. And I know previously what I had communicated out is that everything will be ready to go on the 15th. We are going to roll that back a little bit and do more of a staggered release, similar to what we did at that first iteration of the learning pathways. There are a couple of reasons for this. First of all, we want to make sure that everything is ready, easy to follow, functioning properly in the learning management system, and that you can feel comfortable going in and taking it, and that it's clear, concise, all of that good stuff. So that's why we're doing the staggered release. So the first pathway will be available next week. I will tell you that we are shooting for the 15th for that first pathway, which will be the requisitioner pathway, because so many of our users, that's their main job function in EVA, is making those small purchases. So we will absolutely be focused on that. There might be some technical things that are completely out of any of our control to make sure that it's available. So that's why I don't want to promise that it's the 15th, but what I can promise you is I will continue to communicate with you all and let you know when those become available. They will still be available to everyone. You don't have to fall into a specific role. You can take any pathway at any time. And what I will say is that all pathways will be available by the 23rd. And I really do have to give a huge shout out to our VIP team, and especially Jessie. Talk about patience. Like, she has been extremely patient and has helped me and CGI and InfoPro understand the process for this. And she's really passionate about making sure that it is the best that it can be. And I just feel really, really appreciative of all of her help and lucky to be partnered with her. So more information to come on that. The other thing I should mention too is, even though we've had this extra time, don't expect perfection, which is hard for me to say as a perfectionist, especially when I'm creating things that all of you as buyers are seeing. But as you know, we're also, at the same time that this is going on, making improvements and updates to the platform itself, which might change some training assets. So anything that we weren't able to capture because it happened after that update, we're still going to make that document that was similar to the one we had before, where it says, hey, we know this is no longer correct, and we are going to update it on the next round of edits, which won't be until after the go live date. So just want you to know they're still not going to be absolutely perfect, as much as I would like them to be, but it is a vast, vast, vast improvement over the first round of those pathways. So I am excited for all of you to see them. And as I said, I will be communicating out when those pathways become available, and all of them will be available by the 23rd. Quick reference guides. I want to talk about these because the reason that we want to make sure we have these quick reference guides, this was actually an idea that came out of our Train the Trainer program. And one of our awesome trainers said, hey, like, I know you have all these great assets, but can we get something that we can follow along with? Which was a great idea, because part of this training program, and something that will continue as the training program continues, is we want to make sure that we're capturing all different types of learners and engaging them in the ways that they like to learn. And some people say, you know, I don't want to watch the video, like that's not super helpful. Give me a document. So that's exactly what we're doing in these quick reference guides. But I do want to say that these quick reference guides are exactly that. They're quick. So don't expect them to be user guides. User guides, you're thinking of, literally explain every single step to you. And you can just go through, you know, pages and pages and pages. These are quick reference guides designed to be a desktop reference that you can say, you know, I don't remember all the steps I need to do to submit this requisition. Let me grab my quick reference guide. So I just wanted to be clear about what they are and what they aren't, because I want to make sure that I am setting realistic expectations so you guys aren't saying, where are the user guides? So quick reference guides for now, user guides coming. The other thing, when will they be available? They are going to be available starting in April. So my goal is to have all of them complete and ready to go at the beginning of April. So the reason for that is because we want to make sure that after those learning pathways are released, if there's for some reason a big change that was somehow missed, these reference guides are much easier to update than to go into a learning journey, for example, and make edits there. So we want to make sure that these are even better than the assets that might not have captured the changes that I was just talking about when we were going over the edits and the re-release of those assets. So that's why they're going to be available a little bit later than the learning pathways. And finally, where will they be located? So we want to make sure that you all have easy access to them no matter where you are. So we're going to be adding them into the learning management system, not as courses, not as something you have to take, but as a resource and as in one of the resource libraries. So basically, if you are in there taking training and you just finished a learning pathway or a course within that learning pathway, all you'll have to do is pop on over to the resources library and download the document that corresponds with that if you want to see something that's actually something you can print off and take with you. They will also be available on the training website. And the thinking behind that is you might not be in the LMS, right? You might be looking at the training website or on the EVA homepage and wanting those quick reference guides immediately without having to log into your LMS account. So they will also be located on the training website. So hopefully having them in both places will make them a little easier to access. And at least for me, when I have things in multiple places, it's really helpful because one day I might be here and need to access it. Another day I might be another place and need to access it. So hopefully you will find that helpful. And as I said, quick reference guides are something that were requested, and we are very happy that we can make them basically companions to our learning pathways. So you heard me say they're going to be on the website. So kind of a perfect transition into talking about what the website updates are. So first of all, we're going to talk about updates to the training page. So these have not been added yet, or I should say published to be made available to be seen, but I am working with our fantastic webmaster, Dave Foster, to make these changes. The first thing I want to talk about, as I said, is the training page. We're going to remove outdated information that I know is listed on there and streamline that layout so it's a little bit easier to get around and find exactly what you need. If you're a trainer, you're very familiar with the Train the Trainer tab. If you're not, you might have poked around in there and you could see that there's a lot of information, which was helpful during the Train the Trainer program, and some of it might not be relevant anymore. And it takes up a lot of space and kind of makes it a little less clean, which is what we're looking for, as I said, with the streamlined layout. So what we're going to do is clean that tab up, take the calendar off, take any of the superfluous information off, but keep the recordings that are there of all of our Train the Trainer sessions that we had so that you can always refer back to those. Or if you want to add a trainer, you can ask them to watch those so they can kind of have a background of what the EVA training program is like. So that will be a whole lot cleaner. And then of course, uploading those edited resources. That's the quick reference guides. That's how do you access training. That's how do I log into my LMS account? Who do I contact? All of that will be updated. So I am excited that to let you guys see that and release that, and that will be next week. And again, I will still be communicating when these are all available so that you will know as soon as possible. Also, new links on the homepage. You'll see that we'll have an updated banner and also a link that goes directly to the training site instead of, I think we have one that opens and tells you how to get in your LMS account, which is super helpful. But I also want to make sure that we are including a link directly to the training site in case that's where you want to go. And then finally, supplier training. So this is something that hopefully will be really well received by our suppliers. They will have training assets outside of the LMS, so they don't have to create an account, and they'll be able to view their training schedule and all of that good stuff. And I'm working with our wonderful Kim Brewer to really create that and make it a space that the suppliers are familiar with, they like, they find helpful. So I'm excited to have that as well. I should mention it's going to be separate from our buyer training website. So won't get confused and be able to click around and then wonder where you are. It will be on a completely separate page. So I am excited that we'll be able to offer them that little space that's just for them. So let's talk a little bit about the learning management system, because part of that email that I had sent out, as you know, had some information about, well, hey, Sarah, what happened with all the progress that I made when I took the training that was originally released? So as you know, the learning pathways were removed from the LMS to prepare for the refresh versions that we're working on right now, and making sure that we can manage the new learning pathways and organize them appropriately. But as part of the VIP work, as if they didn't have enough to do already with this, right? And in addition to also, whether you know this or not, they kind of start planning for the next forum, in this case, as soon as the other one is complete. So they have been extremely generous with their time, and I really appreciate it. And part of that is capturing the progress from end users who have already started or finished their self-paced training. What do I mean by this? Let's say that you were a user that took the requisitioner journey, you completed everything except for the VILT, and you're like, well, I don't want to have to take it again. Not a problem. All that progress has been downloaded. And then after we get those re-released learning pathways up and on the LMS, that information will be re-uploaded. That will not be until April. So if you log into your LMS to take a learning journey or to look at a particular resource and you don't see a completion there for something that you know you completed, do not worry. It's because we have taken that information down so that it can be re-uploaded, again, to make sure that we are basically preparing the space for our new refresh learning pathways. But don't worry, I have implicit trust in Jesse, who really took time to make sure that that data that was downloaded was exactly what we needed, and to make sure that it's in that format that we need to make sure it's re-uploaded. So again, I will keep everyone updated on the progress of that particular part, but I did want to mention that since it can be kind of confusing, and you won't be required to take these brand new learning pathways. I think Shane mentioned it on one of our previous bug meetings this year. Really, really great options. So let's say you're a person that's like, you know what, I don't want to take it again. I kind of have the gist of it, and I'm just going to kind of play around in the test environment. And then if I want to, I'll go in and I'll check this out. Not a problem at all, because remember, we'll have captured your progress from before. But if you're like me and you're like, well, no, I want the most up-to-date information, you want to take it again, and that's fine too. Whatever you want to do, we want to be flexible and let you guys take it how you want to take it. If you want to retake it, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. Whatever helps you and helps you learn the system the best. So lastly, today, I want to talk about virtual instructor-led training. So as most of you know, this is kind of that last part of the training program. It's that interactive part. It's the non-self-paced part, which will allow you to interact with a trainer and ask questions. They'll do demos and really give you an opportunity to have that final one-on-one, not necessarily one-on-one, but one-on-one in the sense that you'll be there live with the trainer that can answer questions. So here's what I should say. Entity trainers will determine when their particular virtual instructor-led training courses occur. So I'm going to be adding a list of trainers to the training website, because I've had a lot of folks say, well, I don't know who my trainers are. And that is a fantastic point. So I want to make sure that you have that information available to you. So it will be basically an Excel document that you can filter so you can see who at your organization is a trainer. And also I should mention that some entities are making this optional, which is totally fine. We really appreciate everything the trainers did and wanted to make sure that we opened it up to them to create and customize their training however they see fit. So if you have questions about that and your entity does have trainers, make sure that you talk to those trainers to understand what the expectations are for that particular training program. Entities without a trainer will be offered VILTs, that virtual instructor-led training, through the DPS staff. These sessions will begin in April, and there will be multiple sections on each module. What do I mean by that? So there's basically 5 different sessions that the buyers will be taking. The first one is catalogs, the second one's requisitions, the third one's orders, the fourth one is sourcing, and the fifth one is contracts. There is a 6th one, but that's for suppliers, and Kim and Lakia will be handling that, which is fantastic. So takes one off your plate at least. But those sessions will be offered multiple times. And as I think I said before, the schedule is being developed, and you will be able to sign up for those VILTs if you don't have an entity trainer. If you do have an entity trainer, I will unfortunately have to say, hey, you know, you have trainers at your organization, please reach out to them to know when their VILTs are going to be happening. And then for anybody that can't make any of those sessions in April, as I said, there will be multiple sessions. We'll work with you and try to figure out if we can come up with a time. The reason that I am hesitant to record them and then just send out the link is because part of this virtual instructor-led training is to make sure that there's some interactive activities, for lack of a better term, going on there, that you can ask questions and get answers in real time. So that is the reason that I don't want to just record and then send it out. I want to make sure that we're having that face-to-face, even if it's on something like Zoom, to make sure that everything that you have questions about is being answered or taken and will be answered at a later time. So hopefully that clears up some things within virtual instructor-led training. So be on the lookout for that as well. I know I went over a lot of information. I have my little question slide, Kim, but I should say that we're going to do those at the end and to keep putting those in the Q&A box. That is it for me.
That is great. Yes, please go ahead and again, don't use the chat for your questions. Make sure you're adding those to that Q&A feature so that we can make sure that everyone hears the information. We do know we're sharing a lot of information. We're going over things. And as Shane often says, people need to hear it 7 different times, 7 different ways. So we want to make sure we get your question answered, but then make sure that everybody also hears it stated again. All right. And with that, we're going to shift over to Lisa.
Remember to unmute myself and talk you through this. So we've had a lot of questions come up as far as what is available in the testing environment for our users. And I just kind of wanted to go over that with you all that currently have access to UAT right now. And that is our new platform, UAT. We have requisitions and orders. You can create your transactions. You can create your solicitations and your public posts. So gov to gov, future procurement, sole source, all that good stuff. Make sure everything goes over to the Virginia Business Opportunities page, and then work those transactions all the way through to a contract or to award to a purchase order if you need as well. We're encouraging all of our users that have access to go in and just focus on your transaction right now, those functional testing, making sure that those nuances that you get into as a user in the field, that you're exploring those areas as well and trying to get in and really break it. We've had a lot of updates come in this week. We have another migration next week, but we are kind of at the final stages of the updates that will come into the platform. We've also started our interface and integration testing. And if you are at an organization that is interfacing or integrating with the EVA platform, I encourage you in your procurement shop to reach out to your technical folks, make sure that you guys are on the same page. So that way you're creating transactions to support the technical side of the house if necessary, or if you haven't engaged with your technical folks, that you do make sure that they're aware that we do have this change coming on board and supporting them with getting and starting the testing for the new platform. Our supplier portal is also up and running and available for testing, and you as a user are able to create a new supplier and register in the test environment to see and feel what that's going to look like for the supplier community. I don't know if that's something that we did previously in a old platform, but it is something that we're offering now. There is a little nuance that supplier does have to be activated. And in order to do that, you'll fill out the form on our testing webpage, and I'll go over that a little bit later. Kind of moving forward here and what's to come, because I know there's a lot of nooks and crannies that we still have to release to you guys for testing. One of the bigger ones is the Report and Resource Center. We also are working on catalog filtering and some of the supplier catalog management areas as well. So that way you can see how that is going to work. On our user management and data management, I know that you all are very anxious to get in there. We are anxious to get you in there and testing that as well. We are at DPS and internally right now still testing through a lot of environments and a lot of issues that we found, and it's just not ready yet, prime time to be over and released to our clients to begin testing. We want to make sure that you have a positive experience when you come in that first go round. So we are making sure that those areas of the platform for our seasoned users and that it is in a good condition and ready for you all to begin. We also, I know conversion environment is something that a lot of you all are anxious to see. We just got our hands on it. Our team is testing it. We found a few things. We're working through it as, you know, normal software cycles do, and we're working on making sure that those are resolved. As soon as we feel like the environment is ready for you all to begin, we will be working and communicating with you guys to pull you in so that way you can take a look and see what those production transactions look like in the new EVA platform. And I know it's a big teaser right now for me to tell you that, but I can tell you if you keep pushing through in UAT, keep testing in that, finding issues and reporting bugs, you're helping us a huge area there. And as soon as we are ready to bring you into conversion, we definitely will. That our team again is just kind of digging into that, and we're seeing a lot of great things. It looks really good so far, and very positive, and excited to get that out to you guys as well. One of the things we are carrying over to our new platform, if you're not familiar with it, it is the public search dashboard. We launched this during the COVID pandemic, and it was an opportunity. It's a place where you can go out and find purchase orders, suppliers, and contracts that are available without logging in, and you can get a lot of really good information. That is part of our new contract, and we'll be moving that piece of functionality forward, and we will have that available to you guys and update the transition newsroom when that's available, so you can test and look at that as well. Still have a lot of internal testing going on in that area as well. Just again, I kind of hinted on it a little bit earlier, but just overall updates. We're hoping for our final UAT migration that first week of April. I put tentative. As you know, we really want to make sure that we give you guys the best product at go live. So we are triaging and reviewing all of the tickets, all the issues that you all are sending in that our team is finding, and we are making sure that those issues that are go live concerns are being addressed and plugged in to our next migrations throughout this month. We do intend on having a stop in April, so that way the environment can sit and rest a little bit without having too many migrations, and we can test it in a stable condition. But I don't want that to stop you from your testing either. I just want you to know that that is when you can expect to stop seeing so many updates coming into the UAT environment. We will be turning off emails soon. That's news, breaking news this morning that we discussed. We know that those email communications right now you're seeing in production environment or classic EVA. You can tell the difference between a UAT transaction email that comes through versus a production transaction email that's sent to you. And we don't have that with our current environment right now. So we're going to be pausing those emails. However, if that's something that you're interested in seeing more information, we do have a really nice and easy way that our EVA administrators, PCR, EVA team, DGS ISS, where we can go in and we can look at every notification that's sent out through the system. So we will be able to pull some of that information if that's necessary for what you're looking at. The emails that will not turn off is any emails that are supporting integration and interface testing. Those will still stay on, as well as your password reset. So it's really just for those transactions that come out to you and say, hey, I need you to approve this transaction. We want to make sure that since we've got so many more users coming into our testing environment, that if it's going out to you and you're being asked to approve a transaction, it's very clear to you whether or not it's something that's test or an actual live production transaction. When we release those areas for testing, we will be sending out communications to our users. We do have a distribution list of everyone that has signed up to be a tester, everyone that is interested in testing. If you are not receiving that information, you would like to, please just drop in a line in our transition newsroom page where we have a way for you to reach out. I'll show you that page in a minute, and we'll make sure that you get added to that distribution list. So that way you can see when Report and Resource Center is available, or some of the other user management and data management, because we will be sharing that out to you all to let you know once you can dig in. This may not be applicable to everyone, but we do have a large number of organizations that connect with EVA. And I want to make sure that and emphasize, because like I said, we're down to I get this analogy wrong all the time, and I'm grateful for people who correct me, the 9th inning, the 11th hour. And I'm sure you're feeling it too, just like we are here at DPS. So I want to make sure that if you are at an organization and you connect with EVA, that you have started your testing and you've started creating those transactions and supporting your technical folks as well with creating those transactions. It's super important that you report any issues that you have timely, so that way we can address those. So please make sure you get that information into us if you do find something. For those of you that are at an integration agency, and maybe you're just working on functional testing and we're getting familiar with the system and you don't want to be slowed down by your testing, there is a bypass integration flag on the requisition header that you can select. So that way, maybe you're not interrupting testing that is focused on integration and interface, or you're not waiting for that response back. You can select that box too. So I wanted to highlight that for a lot of you that are organizations that are testing. We do have suggested supplier accounts for these organizations. So if you are creating transactions, please use those. These are set up for your organization, so that way, because we have dummy data and dummy suppliers set up, we want to make sure that you're passing transactions with good vendor data, and we want to make sure that you're using those suggested supplier accounts. It's also listed on our testing website. Couple reminders for this: if you have or run into questions and you need functional assistance, so points and clicks of how to use the application and the new tool. Every organization, we're encouraging you all to have a central point of contact. For our CPOs and procurement directors on this call, there was an email that sent out by Pete last month with his update. In that email, there was a link where we asked for you to identify your testing central point of contact, to update your training point of contact, and all of the other contacts that DPS may reach out to at your organization. Super and helpful for you to fill that information back and give that to us, because that helps our account executives know exactly who to go back to. And then once we go live, we're also going to want to know, who do you want those calls coming to if we have something and it is something specific to your organization and we need to reach back out. So please fill out that survey that Pete included in his communication. I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago, directly to CPOs. If you did not get that link, we will get that out to you guys. I'll talk to the team and figure out the best way to make sure we redistribute that, because I'm sure that you're feeling it. There's been a lot of turnover in the last few months, and we want to make sure we know who to contact and that we are contacting the right people, especially as we get closer to go live, and there's a lot more information to come. Your second point of contact for that central point, the central point of contact, and your procurement shop can escalate questions to the DPS account executive. Otherwise, we do have that report and issue form that's available on the website, the testing room website. Those tickets come in to the EVA team, and we will coordinate with your account executive if necessary to resolve the issue or give you more information or log it and track it as an enhancement, a bug, and prioritize it within our tracking of all of the great feedback that we've heard so far. Lastly, if you need technical assistance and you are an interface integration organization, and this is specific to like BizTalk community issues, or you're having your import failed or your integration failed, those specific kinds of questions, your technical folks can absolutely reach out to Anu with the EVA team. I've provided her email address here. Most of your technical folks have already been in contact with her and have this information, but I just wanted to distinguish between the two. Please try and send functional questions and functional assistance one direction and technical to the other. There's a lot of information coming in, a lot of testing still going on with our resources, and routing things to the appropriate contacts we think is probably going to be the best way, so we can get you the answers that you need timely and also complete the large amount of testing that we still have ahead of us. And finally, resources. I'm going to go ahead and pull up this website and point you around to a few things as well. But I just want to remind everything that on our transition newsroom, all of that great information that Sarah has shared with you will be included for training on the EVA transition newsroom on the training page. If you're testing and you have a functional question, you know, a great place to go, the training page. Look at that once as those assets are released and use that to help build your knowledge too. The conversion roadmap is also posted out there. Those are important things that you need to know, important dates for when things are going to be cut off. So please make sure that you refresh your memory of those. I know we went through this exercise or fire drill months back, but I'd like just to kind of remind everyone, all of that information is out there. And on the testing page itself, we do have a schedule that shares all of the downtime for maintenance and migrations. We do have on-demand support information where you can call in. We usually do it twice a week right now. You can meet with an EVA or PCR person one-on-one, and they can walk you through or answer some questions that you have about the new platform. And again, the report an issue link that's out there. So I'm going to just take 2 minutes really quickly, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen, maybe, and pull up just the transition newsroom page for you guys to just again show you a couple of quick things, because I don't think that we work really hard to make sure this information is out there and you have it at your fingertips. Oh, where did my Zoom thing go? Did I leave the Zoom meeting? There you are. Things like to bounce around. All right. So from the EVA homepage, this big gold link, EVA transition newsroom, if you come here, we have all of the information that you need to know. Conversion information right here at the top. Information for purchasing professionals here. All of that information that Sarah was talking to you about at the beginning can be found directly on the training website, and also the EVA transition testing page is here as well. I mentioned if you need to reach out to us, we have you can come out here and shows how I haven't been out to this page recently. Let's see, Kim might have to help me figure out where the questions are that's coming. Where Dave's hit and moved that. Nope. All right, so I'll show you another area. On the EVA testing page, if you find something and you need to say something about it to us, we have a link down here at the bottom, need help with testing. And you can come out and you can submit a ticket directly to us if you fill out that form. So that way you can inform us of anything that you're finding as well. And again, for our integration folks, if you look under client testing, that's where you can find suppliers recommended for import, integration, and interface, as well as some other testing updates that we have for you guys as well. So please, if you are testing, this is a great place to come to. And I did see a question come in earlier where somebody asked, how do I get access to UAT? Work with your procurement shop and they will coordinate that through your account executive and get you guys access if that's something that you're ready to pull in more people from your organization to begin testing. So that is all I have. I'm going to mute myself.
Thank you, Lisa. Lots of great information and lots of great questions that have come over using that Q&A feature. We're officially going to transition into that segment of today's session. So we want to hear what additional questions you might have. Now, we have gone through while people were sharing different pieces of information and tried to answer some questions already. So you will see your answered questions that have been addressed already over in that answered tab. So the additional questions we have, we can move through. And I will go ahead and start with the first one because I can answer that one. So in reference to supplier training and supplier training assets, which Sarah did talk about during her segment, and I encourage you to watch the playback if you have additional questions about that. You've had suppliers tell you that they're not aware that EVA is even updating or changing. How are the vendors being notified? So that's a great question. Keep in mind that we have a very large supplier community, and we try to do our best to talk to the ones that are most interactive with us, the people that are bidding, the people that are engaging, rating their leads, getting orders. So some of the ways that we have communicated is that if you call customer care as part of that hold message, there's a segment as part of that hold message that says, hey, we're transitioning our platform. And that was something that we started when we were anticipating go live at the beginning of the year. We've tweaked our messaging. We also have a list of what we deem to be those active suppliers that are engaging with us. And that list is roughly about 85,000 suppliers, and that is just a portion of the overall community that we have, which is what, up to 165,000, I think. So we're talking large volumes of people. We are going to have people say, I don't know what you're talking about. That's inevitable. So what you can do is you can help us get the word out. So if you can spread the word, that is a great way to help us get that word out. But we are sending emails via Constant Contact about the changes. We are encouraging people to check out the transition newsroom. I am a party of one, so I need you to help be my voice also. Point people to these locations on the website. When a supplier clicks on the vendor login, there's an intercept message that comes up. So we had a message up about the transition. As the date shifted, we changed that message so that we can encourage people to move away from Internet Explorer as that browser that they're using. So what we're planning to do is put an intercept message there, make sure we send an email out, and then we're also communicating with our partners that support small businesses like SBSD. So there's business service managers that I partner with there. We're asking you to get the message out for us. So if they need a written version of this information, we're going to put it on the transition newsroom. We're going to put it on the intercept page. We're going to email them. We will, again, like I mentioned, start to engage on our social media, which is via LinkedIn. I will do it on our actual on our actual EVA page, but then I also have people that follow me, and a lot of those are the suppliers that I engage with. So I'm going to be putting information out there, but we were holding off until I had something actionable for them. I can't get somebody excited about something if I don't have anything to show them. And now that we have those training materials getting ready to release, there's a whole lot more to talk about. Who have we talked to on the supplier side already? We've talked to our punch out suppliers. We've talked to the ones that take their order import directly. We have talked to suppliers that have duplicate email user accounts. And we've also talked to some of you buyers that have that as well, because we've run into that you can only have one email associated with a profile, but you can have multiple profiles, which are multiple users. And so we're working around those communications. But every week there will be some form of communication going out to our suppliers, including letting them know, hey, you can't update anything else on your account. We need you to pause because we're transitioning. And as Sarah also mentioned, we are supporting them with live, weekly, might be a couple of times a week. We're working out my schedule, okay? In all honesty, to pause the regular selling to the Commonwealth workshops that I do every week and take the month of April to invite our suppliers to watch something live and ask questions. For a lot of them, it's kind of like a bank merger. We're picking up their stuff, we're putting it in a new platform. They just really want to know, how to navigate that new platform, and our training assets will support that. So hopefully, very long-winded answer that addresses all of those concerns. But you absolutely need to be our advocate and spread the word as well. So thank you in advance for that. All right, moving on to the next question. Lisa, you would like to answer that, so take that one away.
Sure, I'll take that one. And are reports available in UAT yet? They are not. We haven't released that to our client testers. Our team is still validating those reports internally. And as soon as those are available, that is one of the areas that we will send out communications to make sure that you know when they are available for you guys to come out and test. And I'll take the next one too, Kim. Can the link to the testing environment be resent? I'm not sure if it's my new EVA folder, but there's a lot in there. There is a lot in there. We send you a lot of great information. I hope you find that. We went over the transition newsroom today, and the link can be found on the testing page there. Kim, I think that's maybe something we can send when we include in the playback.
Yeah, and it's actually also been put in the answers to the Q&A multiple times, and I'm going to send it over in the chat right now so that everybody will be able to find it there as well.
Awesome, thank you. I'll look at the next one. It says, I apologize if Kenneth Wegman, I apologize if I'm missing it, but back in December, we were working on draft master agreements. Those are your contract records. As they were not going to convert, I wanted to verify if that is the case at this time. I've not found it in the current documentation so far. Yes, if you do not have, if you have a contract record, it must be in final status. So you must submit it in order for it to be converted.
Yes, and that the documentation is still on the transition newsroom. It's called the conversion roadmap. That's still there for those of you that have been around and done a bunch of bug meetings with us. The conversion roadmap that we were talking about last fall. That conversion roadmap is still there, still available in the transition newsroom. That can give you all those details.
And I will
Thanks,
also
Lisa.
put
You were
that.
exactly right with that.
I'm also going to put that in the chat so that everybody will see that there as well.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. And then Sarah, you are typing the answer to the next one, but can you also answer that live for everybody as well? Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So Jan says we don't have an entity trainer. I'll be learning as much as I possibly can, and we'll be training the rest of our small staff when I go under client testing on the EVA website. First of all, that's awesome that you are learning as much as you can, and training, even though it's a small staff, it's still important. You still want to make sure that your folks know that information. It's actually going to be the training website, and I will put that in the chat as well. And remember that that is kind of under construction. It's still available, but some of the information is outdated, and that next week I'll be sending an email when everything's been updated and it's refreshed and pretty, just like our brand new learning pathways.
And Sarah, if you're good with that one, I'll take the next question. We'll just keep pivoting a little, or pivoting, passing, ping ponging. My analogies are dropping today, not very well. Not dropping it like it's hot. Kim Delaney had a question. What does the conversion environment consist of? How will we interact with the environment? How you will, so to answer that, conversion is the money environment that you want to be in my opinion. I'm so excited to be in it. It's where we're actually getting to see all of your production transactions brought over into the new EVA platform. So that's what you're going to see on day one go live. So it's very exciting, very cool. I'm thinking that y'all are all going to, I'm going to have my inbox flooded with I need this now. I'm going to tell you, no, you don't. Hold on just a little bit. We're working out a couple of kinks. And as soon as we get that in a good place, we will be sharing that out with you. We will have a conversion kickoff meeting to explain how you're going to interact with that. Initially, it'll probably just be looking at transactions, and then we'll grow as we can and as time permits with what we will be doing in that environment. But please make sure, again, that you we'll share that information out to you all, so that way you can join us when we do a conversion kickoff. If you are included in that testers group initially that started, then you will get the email. Otherwise, please reach out to your account executive and make sure that you're included in any future testing that we have. We'll make sure that we get you on that distribution list. I don't know if you want to add anything to that one.
No, I think you covered that well. So the next question comes in, it says, what does missing approvers for requisitions rules mean?
So I can, Sarah, if you want it, or I can take it either way.
I'll let you take it.
Sarah has been so focused on training. Anytime I could take anything off of her, she's our P2P lead. I try my best to do that because she is like delivering to you guys, I think, and just an amazing training program. So the missing approvers links means that right now in UAT environment, nobody's in that bucket. Nobody has been assigned that approval profile yet. Our UAT environment does not match and is not set up to mimic your production environment, nor do we expect it to be. However, if you're running into some issues, you can reach out to your account executive and we can maybe tweak and make sure people get added into those buckets so your transactions can go through.
Great. And the next is, will the testing supplier accounts that they create remain active for trainers to use in case there's a supplier question later in the future for our suppliers that we can answer instead of referring them to EVA Customer Care?
Refer them to EVA Customer Care. EVA Customer Care that is what we're here to do. And Nisandra, you were here at EVA Customer Care with us at one point in time. And while I love and appreciate you going in and helping them with their accounts, it's not a role that we expect our buyer community to do. We do have a group here that is trained and knows all of our vendor support team and our customer care folks. So please, if you are getting questions from your suppliers, please route them to EVA Customer Care. However, those accounts will stay available.
Yeah.
And you will still have them. We don't have any intentions of removing that. But I just wanted to, before I answered that, my main thing was send them to customer care.
Yeah, and I think that in what you create, the data that's created in these test environments, that we're not going to strip that data. And I think that's the main
at some point. Right now, there's not a plan to. We'll let you know when we do that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's anything to worry about just yet, but it is a possibility.
And then the next question comes from Brandon. Will end users be locked to their actual BSO in production? In current UAT, we are seeing that end users are able to change their BSO under organization and the rec header.
Sure, Brandon, that's a great question. I'd have to look specifically at how your users are set up. They are assigned to a site. That's what the terminology we use that replaces BSO. So it may be that the user that you're looking at has multiple sites or more sites than they would in production. So if that's something that you would want to test, just reach out to your account executive or your central point of contact at your organization, and we can tweak that UAT setup for you to see how that works.
And just making sure he wanted to know if they'll be locked in to their actual organization.
Yeah, you'll only be able to select from the drop-down menu those that you have been given privileges to.
So the next question comes in and it's asking about explain the final EVA UAT migration on April 4th. What does that mean and how is it different from the conversion environment we should soon expect? And I know that this has been touched on a little bit through conversation. This question came in a little bit before we got to the Q&A segment, but if you just want to reiterate that for everyone.
Sure. UAT migrations are updates to bugs and fixes that we have access to. And I'm sorry, I'm reading something and I need to like turn my camera, the chat off. UAT migrations are bugs and fixes that are coming in to the environment. Conversion will have all of those updates, and there are two separate links, two separate logins. And so and Kim, you had the question, so I can't see what I want to make sure I answer it. I have to read. I'm an English major, so if I don't read it, then I don't know what I'm talking about.
You want me to reread it for you?
I got it. Explain the final UAT.
Yeah.
So the final UAT migration is really just an update of all of those bugs and fixes that we anticipate coming in to make sure, so you know what you're going to experience, the functional updates. Conversion is a whole separate environment where it's mimicking all of the functional stuff in UAT, but it has production transactions in it. And we'll let you know when that's available. Again, we're testing it and we're not going to bring you guys into it until it's in a place that we feel like it's ready for prime time light. So we'll keep you posted on when that will be available. I think we're looking at dates that might be modified a little bit too. So that's why I'm not saying specific dates. I know you're saying we should expect it soon. It's going to be in April, sometime in April at the earliest.
All right, and then the next question comes in and it's related to what is the future look of the transparency reporting, the public search dashboard in the new system, i.e. vendor database, which is that EVA vendor lookup. Will it be similar in construction to what we have now, commodity code listing, outside access to state contracts? These have been valuable tools for us and we use them as part of our educational materials. So happy they are moving forward. And I don't know that there's any big changes expected to any of those public facing, publicly accessible pages off of our website. So what you have now under transparency, there's some reports that will be consolidated and updated under the public reports section, but the dashboard itself, the search order suppliers and contracts,
There's some small tweaks to
Right.
it. We'll be linking directly for contracts to an iValua look and feel with the same information though that you expect.
Correct.
So you'll also see a different contract list page as well. And as soon as those,
But from a transparency perspective,
everything's there.
It's all there.
everything's there, guys.
Nothing's changing, nothing's going away.
Correct. Don't worry about the nuance of it. We may
Yep.
send you to a different look and feel. The data, the information you need, it's there. All right. The reports, NIGP codes, contract access, it's there, guys.
Yep,
I
and-
want to stress that. I don't get spun up if it's like, well, it's not this link anymore. It's this. Quite honestly, the EVA homepage is going to be the same. You're going to click for it and it's going to take you to it.
Yep.
So it is there.
And that's one of the things that, thank you, Melva, for using that as part of your education materials. I do a weekly workshop with suppliers wanting to sell the Commonwealth. And that is one of the things that I've stressed because the training that I do around those links, that information, that stuff is not changing. We're continue to maintain that transparency and provide that great look into our data for people to mine on their own. All right, and the next question is, how do we find out the status of JIRA tickets? How are they prioritized and whether they will be resolved, particularly those that are critical to our business processes on day one of go live? We are extremely concerned, understandably concerned. So Lisa, go ahead and take that one.
Yep. Just if you have, what I would ask is to share those issues that you were concerned about for go live directly to your account executive and make sure that, and Sharita, I believe, is your account executive for the colleges. We talk to Sharita quite regularly, so she does keep us informed. But if you have specific ones that you are wondering about, then reach out to us directly, reach out to Sharita and she'll escalate those up to us to make sure that we understand that. I will be very honest that making sure some of the things that we're having to make consider is if there's a workaround for it and a reasonable workaround. So just to keep that in mind, we know just like our current platform now, we still have a lot of fixes that you all have suggested in that platform that weren't implemented, but we're working, we do have those tickets, I'm pretty sure accurately prioritized to make sure that your transactions can be completed, orders go to suppliers, your solicitations are published, all of those main business processes you can complete successfully. But if you do have concerns, we want to hear those. So please share those up through your account executive.
And also want to iterate that before we go live, we will communicate as much as possible if there's things that we have set expectations around and something has shifted. So we need to shift expectations. We're going to communicate all of that. And that's part of our communication plan for both our buyers and then our suppliers so that you're not coming in day one with, again, expectations and then feeling deflated in some way. So we hope to set those along the way. The next question is, will the interface and integration part of EVA be available on the go live date? And Lisa, you'd like to go ahead and answer that one?
Yes, so that will be available at go live. Honestly, guys, that was something that we considered when we were making the decision previously. So it will be available at go live. Looks like this particular person is interested in it and is not a current integration and interface organization. So if that's something that you're interested in, then reach out to your account executive. We're not going to set that up for you right now, though. We're going to get you live in the platform with your current setup, and then we'll work at getting you involved in pulling that in if it makes sense for your organization at a later date. But yes, it will be available at go live for our existing users.
And we have a really great question that came over about conversion, and it says the conversion starts on April the 28th. When should we shut off the ability to work within EVA, entering, receiving, change orders, etc.?
Well, I don't know off the top of my head because I like to go to my favorite document. And if you'd like, I can just share my screen and show you what that document is and how to access it. So if you're on the EVA Transition Newsroom, again, you get to that from the visit visit the EVA Transition Newsroom page here. If you click conversion information, conversion roadmap, that will list out all of the transactions and when you have to have them and what status by. So that is this is your go-to document for it.
Yes, and that was something that, again, I shared in the chat, that link to that conversion roadmap. And you definitely want to go back and reference that. And then you want to lean on your account executive and make sure that you're checking in with them if you have any additional questions. And the next question came in, can you attach files to a purchase order that has converted to the new platform? Oh, sorry, Barb, did you want to add something?
Yeah, sorry, I wanted to add to Kim Delaney's question about cutoff.
Yes.
So I think that has to be a business decision, Kim, and
Oh.
others that may be wondering the same thing. So conversion will begin at noon on Thursday, right? Y'all, the 28th is a Thursday, and run through the weekend. So if you, and keeping in mind what will convert and what will not convert, you have to allow enough time for things that are submitted to get all the way through the approval process in the rec stage, right? So just keep that in mind as you all make your business decisions. How long do things normally take to get through the process? Make sure that your communications that are going out to your agencies, to your agency folks say that, right? That anything not submitted by a certain date has no guarantee. It's kind of like that, the fiscal year end cutoff, when we say you have to have it submitted by a certain date in order to get it in this fiscal year. And anything after that, there's no guarantee. So, just try to communicate as much as you can and provide your folks as much information, just like we are desperately trying to do with you all, giving you all the information that you need to make the decisions that you've got to make. So thanks.
Yes, and thank you for adding that. So let's see, the next question that we have, will DGS sole source request approval be available? We can create DPS admin requests, but the request type do not show sole source.
It's a ticket that we're tracking that we're hoping to pull in before production or before go live right now. Yes. I'll let you, and when it becomes available, hopefully it'll be in before April.
And then the next question, can agencies have an announcement of the EVA transition hard-coded on the purchase orders?
It's an interesting thought. Kind of like it.
We could update the pre-printed text and throw that in and link to the transition newsroom.
For organizations that use.
I mean, vendors have problems reading your P cards and reading your comments. So, I think the ones that are engaged, and I'm being a little flippant there, and I don't mean to be flippant. I think our suppliers that are engaged will be engaged. I think the suppliers that ignore P card transactions and the comments you add to your purchase orders are going to ignore terms and conditions and where we would have that. So, I think it all goes back to what Kim said and what others have said today. We need your help, guys. We're going to put up intercept pages. We're going to send emails. We're gonna, Kim does outreach events, but we don't do, the only vendor I do business with is Mark Orlando from CGI, right?
Mark, you're aware that we're transitioning to a new platform.
Yeah, I got
right?
a contract with him.
I'm aware.
That was the only RFP I've been involved with, and the only negotiation and the only contract that I have any, dealings with, quite honestly. You guys are doing the procurements, and, I've seen some comments on here about, hey, I've been letting my vendors know. Absolutely. And I bet you, if it's not already out there, and I'm sorry if it's already out there, I'm missing it. I bet you Kim would send you some language, and you could have a little introductory letter that you could send out to all the vendors you do business with. And you could send them a personal email to let them know about the transition. And I guarantee you, Kim would write that for you and send you that language. So we do need your help with this, guys. This is, you don't want to trust your IT people to talk to your vendors. I promise you. You don't. I'm the director of the EVA program. My contractor, Mark Orlando, happens to be on this call. That's it for me. We've got to have you guys as procurement professionals help us out with that. So, we'll do everything in our power. But please, we can give you the text and send you some stuff, and you guys can help us as well. But I do like the idea of the PO. I think that might be something we could do real quick. So good stuff.
All right, awesome. So we are going to move along. Are you able to clone our current EVA protocol and incorporate it into the testing environment?
Mark, this is a great question for you. We haven't heard from you today.
He's been behind the scenes answering some stuff.
I
I
know.
don't-
but
I
I'm
don't-
gonna
can't give him that hard.
I'm gonna put him on the spot,
I don't understand what EVA protocol is.
copying their existing setup so that way, because right now it's a manual piece for us, for them, like their testing isn't matching the workflow that they have in production right now. In the
So the
UAT.
workflow is there. The rules that in UAT and testing, the buckets of where your workflow is there and the workflow rules are all there. The people in those buckets are not. It is something we will get to. It is not something we're planning on getting to before we go live. You will use a look at that. We'll give you a look at that in the conversion environment we release it to, and that's why. So you can see who's in the particular buckets. But that we are not in a situation prior to go live to bring the data back into UAT. Our plan is to bring it back into UAT. It's just not a task that we're going to take on prior to the go live.
Thank you, Mark. And then Sarah, you'd like to take the next one. Are more on-demand sessions being added?
So Carol, I think you're referring to the virtual instructor-led training sessions, but the great thing is I know that you're a trainer. So you get to kind of make that schedule yourself at your entity and decide when those are going to happen. For any users and buyers that don't have a trainer at their entity, that schedule will be released soon, and it will be throughout the month of May, and it will cover all parts of the new platform for buyers.
All right. So then the next one is, has the migration of delegations been discussed? If not, will delegations be migrated to the new system? If not, will there be an easy way to update the buyer? We need to update the requisitions created by buyers that are no longer with our agency.
Shane, are you familiar with that piece? I haven't looked at that myself, and I don't recall. I'm drawing a blank right now on the conversion piece of
So
that.
we really don't do delegations. That would be the, help me, that there's a term we use right now. My mind just went blank. Custodial.
Custodial.
We don't really do a true delegation in the existing system. We give you custodial access to an account. One of the cool things, we talked about this, gosh, it was umpteen user groups ago. It was probably last year. The custodial access isn't going to transfer over, but our ability, if you have a particular transaction that you need to take ownership of, or a group of transactions, we can actually physically, in the new environment, assign that transaction fully to you. So you're not going to be taking over the account as much as we're going to then be able to assign. So, you have maybe a PO that's long running or a contract that's long running. That person's gone and you had custodial access. Well, what we want to do is we would reassign the actual transaction or set of transactions to you. Now, that will be something we'll have to do post-migration. So you're going to want to, take some notes or have a little documentation potentially about open POs, open solicitations, open contracts, things that you're going to want to take over. Now, the good news is if the transactions are open, they are going to convert. It's not like they're going to go away. So if we miss one and, oh my gosh, I need access to that PO, we'll be able to do that type of reassignment for you. But that'll be a post go live thing for sure. But honestly, it's a lot better process and a lot more secure in the platform we're moving to, because you're not right now, it's a workaround. We're just giving you access to the entire account. And we don't do that. We now give you access to the procurement transactions that you need to take over and take action on. So a little different process, and a really good question.
All right, Lisa, take the next one. They'd like to understand the UAT environment is solely controlled by an agency's administrator.
So UAT environment setup right now, our account executives are taking the lead because we have not rolled out user management to the field at this point in time, or data management. So that's something that we at DPS are setting up for you. It's a team effort. We've got our account executives supporting us and our core team assisting with that as well.
Awesome.
And I'll take the next one too. On Vicki Chapman, on April 4th, are we to expect an environment that would mimic the conversion environment for testing as far as EVA functionality go, to exclude our specific agency workflows? So UAT is one bucket, one sandbox, one environment. We are going to stop doing any updates in that environment at that point in time. I don't know if the 4th is the right date or not, but the beginning of April. Our conversion environment, completely separate. It will have all of the updates to bugs and fixes, plus it will have your production data that includes workflow and everything else. What conversion is truly what you're going to, the environment that you can anticipate it go live with transactions and data in it. UAT is they're two separate sandbox, two separate instances, and we are actually, conversion is still a testing area. It is, a separate test sandbox, and then we will have our production go live environment at a later date too. I hope that answered that question. So
Yeah,
you should be able to see everything.
Progressive.
It's the holy grail of,
Yeah.
of everything in the conversion environment.
So you think of UAT is truly us playing around, building, right? Building, and then conversion is it's not we call it like a beta, but it's not available to everybody. Only you can get to it, and it's going to, as closely as possible, mimic the real deal.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, and I think that answers that very nicely. And then I'll take the next one. Will Ariba still be part of EVA for suppliers to receive their POs? No. I'm so excited about this. I'm sharing this out with you just got, I don't know what key I hit, but or note I hit, but no is the answer to that. So Nisandra, no. Part of the training assets they'll receive is how they can acknowledge orders, and they can even create, if they choose, it's an option, it's something new, a shell of a receipt. So it makes receiving easier on the other end. And this is for our everyday routine purchases that it most benefits that new piece of functionality that'll be available. And again, training will be associated with them being able to acknowledge their orders, access their orders, and print and all of that good stuff. So thank you for asking that. Next question, do you plan to send a push email Monday morning, May 2nd, that the new EVA is up and running? I'm gonna answer that one too. Yes, we will scream it from the rafters. And we will let you know that it is live, but the best way that you're going to know that it's live is you're going to log in. If there's any type of issues or unexpected whatever, we will communicate to you. And I hope that at least, if nothing else, you can trust that we are going to let you know as soon as we can about those types of things. We're winding down our time, so we're going to speed through the last couple. Well, the training testing be available during the blackout period. And so training will always be available. What we release as available training assets will continue to be available post go live. We want to support your users, new users, continuing education, all of that good stuff. As far as the testing environment, I'll let Shane acknowledge that piece of it. Did you want to answer that?
I would assume during the April 28th through the weekend, UAT probably won't be available either.
Through the weekend.
That's a Mark question.
Period is through the weekend too. So hopefully y'all are enjoying that.
We will have, right now training and testing is the same environment. We will have some periods of downtime, and we'll communicate what those are. But the training and test environment is not going away. The conversion environment will be, we'll be doing different things in there throughout, getting ready for go live. So there will be some periods where we communicate that we either lock people out or don't want people in there doing stuff because we're doing production readiness stuff.
Yep. And then Sarah, you wanted to answer the question, are more on-demand sessions going to be added?
Yeah, and I think I answered that one.
Okay, good.
So,
So,
and if it's related to the on-demand for functional support, then
Oh, it might be.
those on-demand sessions are being added throughout the month. We're doing them about twice a week. Benita will be updating the website to have, and Dave Foster, they are coordinating all of that and making sure we have resources available, and they will have that website updated soon, so that way you know when you can come in and reach somebody that can hold your hand through whatever questions you have at that point in time.
all right, and we're winding down, and there's another question, is there still only one approver as the ELA?
Expenditure limit approval.
There you go. Where we have roles now that have multiple people. If so, this has great potential to cause extra work, reassignment, and that type of thing. So do you want to answer that if we have a question for that?
For conversion, that is the restrictions of Ariba and how we had to move things into our existing, the way Ariba is structured. That's why we only have one approver set up for that right now. I would advise that you reach out to your account executive and talk through this, because there may be a way that we can modify the existing account now, or figure out what we can do at Go Live to maybe make sure we can take some of that off of you. So if you reach out to your account executive, just let us know, and we're going to be doing some cutover activities ourselves as well. So just let us know what's going on and what that impact is, and if you can, and she'll share that up, and we'll see if we can address that for you.
All right, and then the last one we're going to wrap up with is, so the separate category for contract punch outs will be designated as statewide contract punch out catalogs. Don't want to confuse with any agency specific contract catalogs.
So that is where good data comes in. If it says statewide contract, that means that you are saying your contract is available for everybody in the state. If you have an agency specific contract, that is, then in the drop down menu that you have in UAT, an existing EVA right now, you can make sure that you say this is an agency mandatory contract, and that's the option that you should choose and select. If there's options are not meeting your needs, or you need more, or something's going on, then please reach out and let us know. But the statewide designation is typically used for, and should be used as a base standard for those like VITA statewide contracts that we have, or the DPS statewide contracts that they have for non-IT goods and services.
Thank you so much. All right, we are winding down, and we don't have any additional questions that came in through the Q&A. We got through all of them. That's a first. So what can you expect? That this playback will be available. I recorded, if everything went well, we don't have any technical issues this time, then the playback will be available and put on the transition newsroom under your buyer section for our buyers. And we will also incorporate any PowerPoints and put them there so that you can access those. So I'll get those from our lovely panelists today. And then we will encourage you to watch the playback. And if there's any specific follow-up that is needed from our account executives, they do get a list of the written version of these questions, and we'll make sure that we follow up with anybody directly. So thank you guys so much for your time, your attention, your attendance. Thank you, panelists, for all of your great information that you shared. Please continue to test. Looking so forward to all of the training. Spread the word, help us get that word out there, and we will see you at the next user group in April. Bye, everybody.